And we are now live. Hello everyone. Unfortunately, quite late to the start of this ULC Tier 1 Round 2 race. Well, qualifying currently. I'm joined by a new face today, Rickson, as some of you may know him from around the F1 scene, if you will. How are you doing tonight, buddy?
I am great, mate. A little bit shaken. I was not expecting to be here, but unfortunately Diablo had to pull out of obviously the Bahrain Grand Prix tonight, so I stepped in. Haven't really practiced my commentary voice since last night, so I'm a little bit rusty. My throat's a little bit sore, but yeah, mate, I'm here. I'm feeling good, ready to watch some decent races.
That is the most important thing, and also one of the other most important things, obviously in Formula 1, is getting pole position, and RG Matiz is currently on that pole position at 1 minute 28.1, a very, very quick time he set that very, very early in this session, so we'll have to watch out for him, because I think we can both agree, that is mega pace already. That was his first run, and that's surely got to give him a lot of confidence ready for the rest of the session.
Yeah, he's on a different level. I mean, every time I commentate over him, he's just blowing my mind constantly. I don't have any clue about why he's so quick, but yeah, he's got the pace already on pole. That's quick for a casual qualifying lap, Matt.
It certainly is. Just behind him, NRL Evo less than 1/10 behind, so he's clearly got a lot of pace in the other Sauber there. So he is, I think we're going to have to say, it'll most likely be a one-stop, It's very, very clear, obviously, with how good the tyres tend to last on this game, that obviously the one-stop is usually a good way to go, but we shall obviously have to wait and see. As for that just yet, potentially we could see some interesting strategies come out over the course of this evening, but yeah, one-stop usually is the right way to go about it.
Right, I'm just putting out a tweet to say that we are live, as numbers are surprisingly down. So we'll wait for everybody to get in. If you are joining us today, thank you very much for coming along. We're here for ULC Tier 1, Round 2 in Bahrain. And there's a flying Finn, as I said, Matt sticks it on pole with a 1:27.7. So I said that he was definitely holding back, and it showed us his true pace here. There's 30 seconds left in the session. Finn puts on provisional pole at the moment.
He certainly does, with a very, very quick lap time right there. And this is very obviously important to see, just keep pushing down the benchmarks, keep just showing everyone, what you can do in these cars, which is obviously the absolute most important thing, especially in such a high competition like this. But overall, obviously, that is a ridiculously quick lap. I think we can both agree. We've got RG Matiz just behind him. So here we are then, ready for the start of this ULC Round 3. Unfortunately, a few issues there with the start of the stream.
God.
Hopefully it's now sorted itself. OBS is having a very, very funny evening. I'm not really 100% sure why as of this moment, but hopefully now it is actually responding well. We fingers crossed, I think, is the right way to describe this, but we can only hope. But overall, quite an interesting qualifying there. We've got the flying Finn on pole. Unfortunately, we did just miss that in the broadcast there, but hopefully it has now picked up. But what we're really looking for then in this race, Rickson, obviously quite a few overtaking opportunities to be made around this circuit. Where do you think will be the key points that we could see moves?
Oh, it's going to be the DRS zones, really. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the most obvious place to make an overtake around here. But recently there's been some serious issues with this game, and people know, oh, as the lights are on now, it's 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away they go. Flying Finn off the start, and the cars are coming down the grid now. Instantly goes to the inside on RG Matiz. Into turn 1 we go. It looks like the Mercedes of the Flying Finn going to stay in the lead. He's going to have the inside line into turn number 2. Feisty Ted in third in that red Ferrari car, looking to try and make a move on the Sauber in front of him, being unsuccessful, as the Sauber of Matiz now actually going round the outside of Finn into turn 4, Matt. I'll tell you what, it's been a spicy start. It's only been a couple of quarters.
Yeah, certainly quite a bit of very, very defensive action there by the Flying Finn, but as usual, very, very cool in his defensive manoeuvres there. If we actually have a look down the order, we've got RG Matiz still in P2, Feisty Ted in third, actually doing very, very well to keep up with those front two drivers at the moment. SCSF will also all over the back of him with Simon 6th, Amazement 7th there, seem to have quite a decent qualifying from him. Smithson 8th, BPRL Midget in P9 and RBZ down in P10 at the moment there. So obviously start the race, a bit of contact actually between a few cars towards the back of the field there, if I'm not mistaken. That was BPRL Nor and I think Maranzano just alongside him there, so a little bit of bumping and bashing towards the rear of the field there. But overall, it seems that near enough every driver has been able to survive so far this first lap, and now we could potentially see Flying Finn try to go and push for a little bit of a gap over these next few laps, but the gap is still less than 0.6 of a second as they come at the final corner to finish lap 1 of this race. If we have a look at the... I'm trying to find the position has changed. Actually, there we are. So we can see ESR Simon actually doing very, very well to make up 3 places there off the start. The Amazement in P2. Smithson in making up another 2 places there with BPR Midget making up 3 to bring himself up inside the top 10 there. EVR Cal dropping a huge amount of positions, as well as ESR Leopard and Trumpa Rumpa there. So clearly, you know, a couple of issues for those guys. They've already had to make their first pit stop in this Grand Prix, which is certainly far from ideal for those guys. But Rickson, you know, that first lap overall, from what we saw, not too much carnage. You know, were you surprised by that, or do you think, obviously with these guys being at such the high level that they are, do you think, you know, this is what we should be expecting from almost every league really by now? And that is certainly not ideal. I have no idea what happens to Rickson there, but hopefully we can try to get him back in. That is very, very frustrating to see, but yeah, I can only try to get him back in. Where is he? Let's try and find him again. This is not ideal for the start of this race, but we really do need Rickson back to be alongside me there. Hopefully we can get him back in. In terms of the race director, I don't think we've only got a few warnings so far, so VSR Leopard and Cal actually made contact there at the start of that race, as well as Simon exceeding the track limits, Nor exceeding the track limits, and ESR Smithson actually having a contact with the McLaren driver of VSR Leopard as well. So clearly, you know, VSR Leopard seems to be in a bit of the wars in the early stages of this race, but not the same can be said for the Flying Finn, who still leads this race. As you can see, RG Matiz, though, less than a second behind Feisty Ted, 7/10 behind him, with NLR Evo, starting to drop back just a tiny bit, starting to potentially be under a bit more pressure from STSF, well, not so just behind him, but obviously we shall wait and see. As of that, just next, ESR Simon actually dropping back a little bit more from these top 5. You know, they're all still very, very tightly bunched at this moment in time. The Amazement in P7 with Midget still in P8 there, which could be quite crucial for that BPRL team. They really did seem to struggle in the first week out. If I'm not mistaken, Midget actually retired from that Grand Prix, and unfortunately, I think his teammate Nor is down in P15 at the moment. They're really seeming to struggle. RBZ as well also had to make a pit stop on the end of the first lap of the Grand Prix with Monkey Face Plays and VSR Leopard also joining him on the end of that first lap. There, see that he's gone on to the medium tyres here, so it's quite clear that he wants to try and make it, you know, for as long as he possibly can in this race. That RBZ actually looking, you know, really to try and push as much as possible as he can over these next few laps. Interestingly, though, Chalk and Alleged Chalk, which I'm informed is actually EVR Reynolds, both on the medium tyres there, as well as the Amazement doing very, very well up in P7 on those medium tyres. So we'll have to wait and see how well, obviously, he's able to hold on those tyres in these next few laps of this race. He's got Midget, you know, just behind him here, and it could be quite crucial. You know, obviously, the Red Bull and the Toro Rosso certainly not teaming up with each other in this series, but obviously, you never know what might happen there. We could have to see, obviously, what does happen between those two over the next few laps there, as ESR Smithson could just be waiting to pounce, but he's got Langman in the Renault car there. Very, very fitting that he's using those soft tyres as well on his car. You know, right behind the McLaren driver on the red tyres. Not quite orange, but, you know, you can't always colour match in these cars that we can see at the front of the field. RG Matiz is starting to drop back just that tiny bit more from the Flying Finn, who is currently obviously still leading this Grand Prix. Feisty Teb is not really losing as much to Matiz just in front of him there, which could be absolutely crucial because for Finn, obviously he'll want Matiz and Ted to try and fight behind him for as much as possible there. As you can see, VSR Leopard actually picking up a 3-second time penalty there, so he's very much pushing in the early stages of this race. If you have a look at the pit stops now, EVR has actually dived it down into the pit lane as well. If I try and have a look, there he is in that other McLaren car. So he's clearly not had, he has been in the wars as well, and only 4 laps into this race. And so far, there has been, a little bit of interesting strategy so far between a few of the different drivers, but we shall have to wait and see as to what does happen with that. Jork is down in P15, the last driver to not have made his first pit stop here, but let's go all the way back up to the Flying Finn. Focus on the action right towards the very front here, and have a look at the position change. Maranzano actually now has made up 10 places in this race there, so that has been a very, very good job by him on that set of the super soft tyres there. So he's obviously trying to, follow what the race leaders are doing as well in the early stages of this race, which could be absolutely crucial. Sometimes, you want to try and go for the alternate strategy like we're seeing from the Amazement, but other times you just really want to try and match what the top guys are doing. Hopefully, you can try and close up this gap, but we shall wait and see as to what does happen with that. ESR Smithson all over the back of Alleged Chalk, though, still, trying to look for that move. Obviously on a much quicker compound of tyres out of the hairpin we go onto this long back straight, well, back straight as such with the DRS zone here. One of 2 DRS zones around this circuit, but 4 really, really long straights to be making the overtakes. There's certainly not a track where it is difficult to make the overtakes, but quite a few high downforce corners, which obviously makes, especially in these more modern cars, it quite difficult to try and follow behind. But obviously sometimes for some drivers, that isn't too much of a issue for some of the drivers. BPRL Nor actually picking up his first 3-second time penalty of the day there. I'm going to guess that that is due to track extending there, but BPRL Midget now all over the back of the Amazement here as they come down this front straight here in the slipstream, in the DRS there. He's going to be quite a long way back to think about a move down in towards T1 there, and unfortunately he's not going to be able to make that move stick as of yet here. He doesn't really want to lose too much time stuck behind the Amazement here. You can see the gap already, 5 seconds up the road to ESR Simon ahead of him there. But Feisty Ted still within 1 second of RG Matiz there, but it's just about trying to get close enough to make that move. But Flying Finn is, albeit he's not putting out a massive lead at this early stage of the race, but he is starting to make a little bit of a gap to the cars behind. But obviously we shall wait and see as what happens with that. In terms of the fastest lap of this race, well, who else? The Flying Finn with that fastest lap. Interestingly enough, 0.3 of a second over RG Matiz already in this race on that fastest lap front. So he's definitely pushing a little bit more than RG Matiz, and sometimes it can be absolutely crucial, to try and match that sort of pace in the early stages. Just prove that you're not going to back down too early in these races. And obviously he has still got to watch for